You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Hello, KLRN Radio family. Welcome back. This is Joey Wensler, a.k.a. The Wens, and you, my friend, have found yourself in Wen's World. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll follow you back at Wen's World Radio, W-E-N-Z World Radio. Without further ado, welcome to the show. Here we go!
I'm Casey Motter. Welcome to Wen's World.
Excellent!
So this segment is going to be somewhat unorthodox for this show, Wen's World. And although it's a very scary place, every now and then I like to delve into the mind recesses of the opposite sex. Females got a lot going on, and getting some insight into what and how they think is pivotal in understanding them. And the fascination with this show called The Bachelor may unlock some doors. I've really wondered about this new thing called The Bachelor on TV. This is new, right, Tiana Bogino?
Not so much. Not so much. It's been a fan favorite for quite a while.
How many years are we talking here?
Oh, my gosh. I don't know. I feel like 10 years, maybe,
10 years?
maybe longer. Yeah, it started quite a while ago.
We have our entertainment informant, Tiana Bogino, with us right here in Wen's World. She's going to help us break down this phenomena called The Bachelor. And there's a bachelorette, too, right?
There is. Yeah. Very good.
Well, thank you.
Impressed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So The Bachelor is right, correct me if I'm wrong, is it a guy who's seeking a suitress?
Right.
For himself for the long term, right? This is an actual marital relationship.
Yeah, the goal is you want to be engaged by the end of the season.
Walk me through the process of what the Bachelor and his suitresses go through.
Okay, so when he starts off this season, Nick, the Bachelor, he is presented with 30 women. And so he kind of filters through them. They get to know each other. And at the end of each episode, there is a rose ceremony. So if he feels like he has a little chemistry with them, he'll offer them the rose. If you don't get the rose, you go home.
So do these roses have thorns?
You know, that's a good question. I'm going to go with no. Okay. You know what I mean? That could be a little painful.
Sure. So everybody that he doesn't like, he gives flowers to.
No, you get nothing. You get the boot.
So he literally gives them a boot or just kicks them off the show? He
literally hands them a boot. No, he doesn't. He's like, I'm sorry this didn't work out. But it's in front of everyone, so it's kind of embarrassing. At the end of
this is an hour-long show?
2 hours.
2 hours?
2 hours every Monday night on ABC.
Oh, my gosh. Ding! Where's the bell of life here? Here we go. There we go. That's what Shamso calls the bell of life during our male soap opera moment. Okay, so this guy decides one of the 30 is least eligible for him.
Right.
He gives him the boot, not literally a boot, but he says, hey, it's not you, it's me. That kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And then so they're not back the next week.
No.
So this goes on for 29 weeks?
Yeah, it does. It goes all the way to the end. So, I mean, I think the total is about 3 months. If you make it from start to finish, that's the entire time that they film.
Holy cow. What are some of the things that we would see from our good buddy Nick? By the way, is he a good-looking guy?
He is a great-looking guy. He's actually the oldest bachelor that they've had in a long time. He's 36.
Does he have any grays?
I don't think so.
Really?
I don't think so. Not yet. So what they do is they go on different dates. So there's group dates, and then there's one-on-one. Obviously, you want to go on the one-on-one date with him, so all the attention is on you.
Well, it depends on what you're into, though. Well, it could be into the group scene. I'm not saying, it's that kind of show.
But if they do group dates, it's kind of like competitions.
Sure.
So in front of everyone, they had to go to the breakup museum, which I think is in LA. And they had to, what would they do if they broke up with Nick? And they had to act it out in front of everyone. And then from there, they choose a winner. That winner gets the one-on-one time with Nick.
So what happens during the one-on-one time with Nick?
They go on special dates. There's usually a musical performance involved. I don't know why. That's just what the Bachelor franchise does. And they get to know each other. And then at the end of that date, if he likes you a lot, he'll offer you the rose right then and there. And then you don't have to worry. You're safe from the rose ceremony at the end of the episode.
So the rose serves as somewhat of an immunity idol.
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
So what color rose does he give away? Does it differ from week to week?
No, only red. It's always red rose.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. So once he gives you the rose, you're safe for that week, right?
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And only that week. So then it starts fresh again the next time.
Again, we're here with our entertainment informant, Tiana Bogino. You can connect with her on Twitter at Tiana Bogino. Will you spell your name out for these lovely people?
Yes, I will. That's TianaBogino.
So what else can I expect during this 2 hours of hedonism?
Let me just tell you, this season especially, so much scandal, so much drama. I mean, it's a house full of 25 women now that are competing for one man's love. So they're all dating him at one time, which is kind of funny because if that happened in the real world, we'd be like, what, player? But since it's on TV, we're like, oh, Nick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is kind of some inside information that you'll only get here in Wyn's World. But our good friend Tiana Bogino was once a conceivable contestant.
I was.
For the show. Tell us about that process and how that worked.
Yeah, that was an interesting process. So I got a phone call from one of the producers inviting me to the open casting call here in Atlanta. So I went over to the casting call, and let me tell you, everyone and their mom was there. It was jam-packed, everybody in their clubbing finest, I have to say, super dressed up. And so I had to fill out some paperwork before I got there. And I just stand in a really long line. And as I was sitting down, a man approached me with a microphone and he's like, hey, can I pull you aside and ask you a few questions? And I'm like, okay, sure. So he goes through this list of questions and he's basically telling me that there's other reality shows that they're casting for. Tell me if you'd be interested in them. They were bogus. So I think what they're trying to do is make sure you're there for love and you're not there just to be on TV.
Right.
So they were just kind of testing the waters a little bit.
Okay.
So as I was sitting down waiting for my turn to go back, another producer comes over and she's like, I think I've seen your picture on our website. And I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, that's a surprise to me. And then she looks at my my application and she's like, oh, I know why we know you. You know, so-and-so mentioned your name. She's like, you ready to go back to the room? And I'm like, yeah, great. And I'm like, okay, they've stalked me on social media if she can tell who I am. So we go back to a room and you go into a small office and there's a camera set up. They mic you and there's one person in the room. So then she starts asking me questions. Have you ever been married? Do you have any children? Tell me about your past relationships. Why do you want to be on The Bachelor? Things like that. I was in and out in probably about 5 minutes or so.
So let's reenact that interview.
Okay.
Right. So the first question was, Miss Bogino, Tiana. Can I call you Tiana?
Yes, that's great.
Us here at ABC, we like to get to know our potential contestants, and we'd like to know about all of your past relationships.
You know, I haven't had a serious boyfriend since I was in college, which was about 3 years ago at this point. And so my longest relationship was about 2 years long.
Interesting.
But that was my sophomore year of college.
Tiana, besides pets and pigs, do you have any children?
I don't have any children. And then she interjected and said, but you want some soon, right? And I was like, yep, I do. You got me.
Today.
Yep, today. I want to get married today. That's why I'm here.
So was that question kind of prereq? So in other words, when they asked you about your relationship status and your goals, were you insisting that, hey, I'm saving it for marriage, that kind of thing, or
yeah,
what?
They basically asked me the same questions that were on the application. So I had already answered them. I just was answering them on camera now.
Okay.
So I already kind of knew exactly what I was going to say because I had already answered them for them.
Right. Would that kind of answer make you a diamond in the rough? Because I'm sure you were probably one of the few that have been saving themselves, right?
Well, I think I put that on my application, but I didn't say it on camera because it didn't come up in conversation. She really only picked like 3 of those questions.
Okay.
And then they just want all the juicy gossip, like anything you can tell them, like what was your worst breakup, like anything like that.
And you're such a good girl that you didn't have a lot of dirt.
Yeah, like why do you want to get married right now and like things like that. So there's a lot of pressure because, you know, you want to get engaged by the end.
When you finished your 3-minute Q&A with the producers. What happened next?
Then I was free to go. That was it. And then...
Didn't get the call back?
Nope. No call back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that who was the Bachelor at the time?
Okay, so rumor has it that they were going to choose Luke Pell to be the next Bachelor.
Now,
so
who's Luke Pell?
Luke was on JoJo Fletcher's season of The Bachelorette. So how it works is you have to be a contestant before you can be either the Bachelor or the Bachelorette.
Oh, so it's promoting from within.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. So everyone thought that Luke was going to be the next Bachelor, but apparently it turns out that he was going to be the Bachelor. The night before he flew to LA, they changed their minds and they chose Nick Viall instead. And it was a huge letdown. I really wanted Luke to be the Bachelor. He's a really nice guy from what I see on TV and social media, but alas, Nick it is.
And of course, we are here with Tiana Bogino, our When's World's new entertainment informant here, and she's giving us the 411 on The Bachelor. I just want to understand what all the hysteria is about, so I thought we'd bring in the expert here. So forgive me because I am a tad skeptical about this idea of finding true love on a show, right? And these guys are swapping spit with all these girls, and you're looking, sincerely, I know you somewhat, and I can kind of tell that you are truly looking for something real.
Thanks.
So how do you enter the process to be on the show and still kind of maintain your convictions?
Yeah, I feel like it definitely would be really hard, but you have to be upfront with them, like right away, with the producers, with everyone on the show, because if you're not, then I think that's how you get into sticky situations. There was a contestant on The Bachelor, I think 2 seasons ago, Becca Tilley, and she was saving herself until marriage, and she let it be known to everyone. And so people really loved that. She became a fan favorite right away because she was honest about it and she was upfront about it. And she actually made it to the final 2 in the season of The Bachelor with Chris Soules.
How did you go into that mindset of acknowledging if you had gotten the call back and invited to the show and you were one of the 30, how do you get past that, knowing that the guy that you really want to be with is making out with all these girls and doing God knows what when the cameras are off?
Yeah, that's really hard. I guess I just feel like, I don't know. I mean, maybe once you get to know him, you don't know him until you get there.
Right.
So you don't even know who the Bachelor is when they choose you to be on the show.
Isn't that kind of foolish, though?
Yeah, it is foolish. But, you take your chances and you hope for the best.
Now, what if it was some fat hillbilly with bad teeth and breath?
Okay. He's going to be a prior contestant.
That's right. So you're right.
So you at least know that much.
So you have an idea.
Yeah, but you don't know who exactly it's going to be.
And it's 30 of America's most beautiful people.
That's usually how, and they are very serious. When I went for my interview, they had to take a full body shot. They had to do up close face, everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are no man boobs. And beer bellies and stuff like that. So I'm pretty much out of the running. Despite I know I'm married, but if I wasn't, I would be kind of out because I'm like a solid B cup in man boob size here. Full disclosure, we're talking about openness and vulnerability.
We are, yeah, we are.
So if I were to enter that, I'd have to do the full thing, the airport scanner thing. Just going for it there in my skivvies. So you never got the call back, but you're still in hot pursuit. Am I mistaken there?
No, I reapplied a few weeks ago because I was like, what the heck? I'll just send it in again. We'll see what happens. I think it could be a fun experience for sure, a way to get outside of your comfort zone. And let me just tell you, as a single woman in Atlanta, it's hard to date. It is hard to find a nice gentleman.
Times is tough.
They are tough. And I'm not getting any younger over here. All right. I'm going to be 25 this year.
Oh, my gosh. She's all dried up.
So I was like, what the heck? Let's see if it works.
So what is it about the notion of finding love on a show with a guy that you don't even know? What is it about that just has you hypnotized into continuing this process?
I don't know. It's kind of cool because you meet someone that you wouldn't normally meet. I would never meet Nick here because he doesn't live here.
Sure.
So it puts me in a position to meet somebody fresh and new. And also, they send you on pretty baller dates. That's a bonus.
A question. If you do get kicked off, do you get a consolation prize like a blender or something cool?
No, you don't get anything. But they love to see you cry. So if you get kicked off and you show some tears, they'll probably send you to Bachelor in Paradise if you're lucky.
Wait, whoa. There's a spinoff for the losers?
There is. Yeah, Bachelor in Paradise.
Oh, see, now we're diving into new ground here.
It's pretty scandalous. It's like Hookup Island, pretty much is what they should call it.
If you made it to the show and then you got the boot, would you be forced to be on that show?
No, you have the option. I wouldn't go to Paradise personally.
Right.
Because it's kind of a twisted game. So you want to pair up with someone and you want to be a couple because that's how you stay each week. but each week they bring in new people. So just because I'm matched up with this guy, he sees a new girl, he wants to match up with her instead, and they go on a date, then I get sent home.
Oh.
So you want to find someone there so you can stay the longest. And last season ended in 3 engagements, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, it's true.
Now, have you done any follow-up as to how these relationships have panned out since the inception of the show started?
You know what? I know that one couple that was engaged, Josh Murray, he's actually from Atlanta. His brother is Aaron Murray.
Oh, yeah. You play it for Georgia?
I think so. Yep, you did.
Okay.
Yep. He actually was engaged at the end of last season of Bachelor in Paradise, and they have sadly split. So now he's back in Atlanta. He did move to LA to be with her, but now he's back.
Does that kind of make you doubt the foundation behind these relationships?
I mean, a little bit, but I'm
Yeah.
also not there. You know what I mean? Watching from TV, I'm like, all right, how are they falling in love with each other after 2 weeks? But maybe when you're there, there's a lot that we don't see before they edit and everything like that.
Get swept up in the moment?
Yeah, you never know.
White sand beaches, linen sheets?
Yes,
the
love
whole
at first
nine?
sight, alcohol.
Well, alcohol
You know what I mean?
Tiana Bogino going to be back sporadically here in Wins World. Hopefully consistently. We'll see if we can squeeze her in here because she has a very busy schedule. I actually had to stalk her personal assistant to grab this time here in Wins World to help us get an understanding of what the Bachelor is all about. And of course, you can follow the great Tiana Bogino on Twitter.
At Tiana Bogino.
And will you spell that one more time for these fine folks?
Tiana Bogino.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
120. At Radio Griff, what does that number signify to you, good sir?
Considering we usually talk football on here, I'm going to assume it's something football related.
Indeed.
Total yards that Colin Kaepernick threw for this year?
Maybe.
What is it? I'm not sure.
192 hours, give or take several minutes, until Super Bowl 51 kicks off from NRG Stadium.
Holy smokes.
In Houston, Texas, Sunday, February 5th.
It's only 192 hours.
Now, if you want to get real crazy, we can do the minutes. But by the time I figure that out, the show will be over.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
Us comm majors aren't too good with the numerals, if you will, the integers, whole numbers. The number is Patriots by 3, and there are some things that lend credibility to the notion of that prediction. And at Radio Griff, we came across some very interesting statistical data today about the thread color
Jerseys that the teams wear. Now, in this game of the Super Bowl coming up in 100 hours, or whatever it is, the Falcons are the home team. So since they're designated the home team, they have the right to choose what color jersey they want to wear, right?
Yep.
They can wear their colored jerseys, red, or they can wear their white jerseys. And apparently the Falcons have chosen to wear red, right?
Yeah.
But the stat says otherwise.
Yeah.
If you wear a white jersey, you win the Super Bowl like 11 of the last 12 years.
Sure.
Something like that. That's insane.
Well, people are obviously wondering why only 11 of 12. Well, 2011 was the last time a team wore white and lost. And if we remember correctly, that was Big Ben.
Dirty Burger.
Yes, losing to the Packers.
But if you're the Falcons and you know these stats, does Dan Quinn think he's above stupid stats like this?
No.
He thinks he's better than this. He thinks, he's trying to prove them wrong. You know what? I can wear red and I'm going to beat Bill Belichick. That's what he thinks. He's that cocky. These Falcons, man, and their fans are absolutely full of it. And they have the choice. It's not like they were told they had to wear red. They could be wearing white and could be winning the Super Bowl. But instead, they're going to wear red jerseys in an already tough matchup where they're the underdog against the dynasty of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. They're going to wear red jerseys and probably lose the game because they're so cocky. Arthur Blank dancing on the field. Dan Quinn, he sounds like a professional wrestler when he speaks. And old little meek Matt Ryan, who people claim is the MVP. The guy's the most overrated quarterback. Still, Colin Cowherd said it back in September. Matt Ryan is the 4th best quarterback in his own division.
Wow.
And I'm here to say that is still true. I don't care what the stats say this year, based on my eyes.
Yeah.
And I have an astigmatism.
These eyes don't lie.
And I wear glasses. Matt Ryan is still the 4th best quarterback in the NFC South.
Holy cow. Look, the last time the Falcons wore an alternative color other than white was their other Super Bowl appearance, and as we remember, they got smoked by the Denver Broncos.
Oh, Mr. Elway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was his final game, I believe.
I do believe you're correct.
Beating the Falcons. Yeah,
that's right.
Fluke super. They didn't belong in that game.
And I have a feeling they may not belong in this game either. And I know a whole lot of people, maybe that's why Dan Quinn is saying, look, we're going to wear red because we're going to win no matter what. Let's not get too cocky because Atlanta, dude, you are playing Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft, and Thomas Brady.
Right.
How can you take that lightly? Why would you even wear a color other than what a winner would wear when you had the option? 11 of 12, I would take those odds. Griffin, if you said to me, there's an 11 and 12 chance that you'll win $1,000 if you give me $500 right now, I would likely take that. Would you not?
Right. Yeah, well, what does it hurt to wear white?
Yeah.
Like there might be something up with that. Apparently there's something going on.
Yeah.
So why not just wear white just to be safe? It doesn't hurt anything to wear white.
Right.
But now you're wearing red, trying to defy the odds already. You're already having to go against, like you said, Brady and Belichick. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to wear red on top of that?
Yep.
It's a cocky move, man. Cocky
not
move,
smart.
Falcons.
Not smart.
And I've heard, there's kind of a conspiracy theory going on that Vegas set the line only at 3, but the true Vegas insiders believe the real line is probably 7 or 8 in favor of the Patriots.
Oh, I mean, undoubtedly.
If you really look at it, they don't want all the money to go on the Falcons because people will see such a big line like that.
Sure,
and say,
and jump
it's
on
going to
it.
be closer than that.
Right.
And jump on the Falcons. So Vegas doesn't want to get screwed in this. So that's why they made the line only 3. But in reality, Vegas is thinking, Patriots, this should be a pretty easy game for them. They should win this game against the overrated Atlanta Falcons.
And I just can't see it happening. Look at it objectively, because as you all know, I'm an Eagles fan, so I really have no skin in this game. But when I look at this matchup, I cannot even foresee a victory for the Atlanta Falcons. In a Super Bowl, the stage is way too big for Atlanta. New England has been here. They've done it. This is number 7 with that organization. Tom Brady is seeking one for the thumb. And how can the Atlanta Falcons even get close to depriving Tom Brady?
You're going to tell me if anyone's going to deprive Brady of the thumb ring,
Yeah.
it's not going to be Dan Quinn and Matt Ryan.
No.
I could see Aaron Rodgers on his own maybe doing it. Maybe Russell Wilson. Maybe Colin Kaepernick 5 years ago. I'm a Niners fan. But it's not going to be Dan Quinn and Matt Ryan. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. And you give... I'd give them a better chance if the game was this weekend, if it, this Sunday.
Yeah.
It'd only be a week separation. But you're giving Belichick 2 weeks to prepare for you.
Yeah.
I don't think Belichick's going to lose. When he has lost in the Super Bowl, it's been fluke plays.
It's Eli Manning. It's the curse of resting B-face.
Right.
I mean,
I can't see Dan Quinn on the stage on the 50-yard line getting handed the Lombardi Trophy from Roger Goodell. I can't imagine that.
No.
Could be wrong. I don't see it.
Nobody can see it unless you're blinded.
But then again, like we've said, who saw Trump being president?
Nobody did. Again, but then again, that was a matter of votes. This is a matter of on-the-field participation.
That's true.
You know?
True.
And it doesn't matter what the state of California thinks about this game. What matters is the 11 on 11 taking place every down of this game, and not to mention the coaching. Now, Dan Quinn's been here before. He got really close to beating the Patriots, and we all know that really wasn't on his shoulders because the defense played really well. But let's remind ourselves that the Atlanta defense is nowhere near the defense of the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, no, not even close.
No.
It's a very young, it could very well be a good defense for years to come. Well, they're young. It's their first huge game.
Sure.
Besides last week's NFC Championship.
Right.
Nothing compared to that Seattle. That was a legendary defense.
Yeah.
That the Patriots went up against and that Dan Quinn coached at Seattle. So, I don't see it.
Moving on to some other storylines beside the Super Bowl. As of right now, there hasn't been any prostitution scandals as of yet. No DUIs or drug arrests.
It's been very quiet this week.
Yeah, it's really early, though, so I wouldn't count that out. But as of right now, everybody's been keeping their noses clean, or at least not been caught with a dirty nose. So I thought was interesting this last week was a tweet that Washington Redskin current, as of right now, quarterback Kirk Cousins.
As of right now.
All right. That could change, and we can talk about that possible transition to the Wine 'em, Dine 'em, 49ers.
Yes.
Soon to be headed by offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan of the National Football Conference representative Atlanta Falcons.
Can we jump on Kyle Shanahan real quick before we get to this Kirk Cousins story?
Sure.
So here's my logic. I'm a big 49ers fan. Kyle Shanahan is our future head coach. So therefore, and the only reason the Falcons are good this year is because of Kyle Shanahan and that offense. The only reason. They're not going to be good next year. They're done. This is Matt Ryan's one and only shot at winning a ring. So therefore, since Kyle Shanahan is basically already the 49ers head coach, I kind of consider what happened last week as if the 49ers are in the Super Bowl now. It's because we have the coach. Our coach led a team to the Super Bowl. Therefore, the 49ers are NFC champions. And it was his first of many NFC championships. Congrats to Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers. Well on their way to winning many more NFC championships. And I couldn't be prouder of our head coach, Kyle Shanahan.
Indeed.
Good things happening.
And you know what, though? The 49ers are going to lose because they chose red. They chose red. They should have chosen white. Again, going back to the earlier conversation.
That's true.
But yeah, I think you're right. And look, good things are going to happen. When he leaves, this is Atlanta's only shot to win a Super Bowl because of Kyle Shanahan. And when he leaves, this train is going to leave with him. Have
you heard the rumor? Who could replace him?
I have an idea. Is it Mr. Fast Talking, Mr. Chip Kelly, calling plays for the Atlanta Falcons? Let's see how Matt Ryan does on the option.
Woo, buddy.
Hurt in the preseason. How many more teams are going to be duped by Chip Kelly? This guy is a freaking charlatan at best. He's a snake oil salesman. And
I wouldn't go that far. I don't think he got a fair shot in San Francisco, honestly.
Are you kidding me? He lost more games than Jim Tom Sula did.
That roster is terrible. And I think he was a great coach for your Eagles.
He destroyed the team.
He's not a personnel guy. He ruined it on the personnel side, but I think he's a good football coach, and he's a pro football coach, and he could have success in this league.
He's terrible.
He could have success if someone gives him a true shot.
He is a walking cold sore. Chip Kelly ruins everything he touches unless it's a collegiate
bring him to
game.
the Falcons, then. Since I'm not a Falcons fan, let him come here and ruin it.
I would love to see that infect the locker room because this guy, he treats professional athletes like they're college athletes, and you can't tell a grown man when to go to sleep, how to drink this smoothie. He's got all his little wellness plan, but he's 300 pounds. You got to lead by example.
That
you
is
can't
the
be
funny
fat
thing.
and tell other people how to eat. Doesn't make any sense.
That's true.
Well, anyway, I'm going off the rails here in Wens World.
Chip Kelly.
I got way too much energy, and as you can tell, I'm a tad bit bitter about what Chip Kelly did to the Philadelphia Eagles.
So Kirk Cousins.
Okay, back to Kirk Cousins. Thank you for getting us back on track here. So last weekend, Kirk Cousins had the weekend off, like, let's see, 28 other NFL teams.
Right.
And he was at the mall at Sephora's or something, this perfume store. A chick store.
Yeah.
That dude's just, you don't go into it because you end up smelling like another woman. Then you have to come home to your wife. But in this case, this guy was out with his wife. She's in Sephora's buying perfume, probably overly priced because you can get it online at Amazon for pennies on the dollar. But, he's rich, so whatever. And he tweets out, where's the tweet? Will you read it out at Radio Griff?
Here's what Kirk Cousins tweeted. Not being in the playoffs means my January weekends involve sitting on mall benches outside perfume stores waiting on my wife. Hashtag never again.
All right, let's dissect that tweet.
Whoa. He's kind of throwing it down there a little bit.
First of all, he's divulging his location, which if you're a person of notoriety, do you really want the dozens of fans to come swarm you?
Hi, you Kirk Cousins? Hey.
No, I'm Kurt's cousin.
Will you sign his football for me? Will you sign it?
You know what? Actually, I got to go. There's a sale at the Chinese restaurant up at the food court.
Are you Kirk Cousins?
No, I'm Kirk's cousin. I'm actually not Kirk Cousins.
Kurt? Who's Kurt?
No, Kurt or Kurt? Yes, I am Kurt Cousins, not Kirk Cousins.
Pam?
First of all, how can you say never again? Are you going to be sure? Are you sure, sir, that the Washington Redskins are going to sure you up under the franchise tag?
He's not sure.
How can you assert that?
You know why he can say never again? Because he's about to reunite.
Oh, boy.
With his great mentor, Kyle Shanahan, and he's coming to San Francisco, and he's going to lead us back to glory. Kirk Cousins and Kyle Shanahan, NFC champions 2017-18, whatever it is. So that's why he can say hashtag never again, because he knows the plan. The plan's in motion. He's coming to the Bay Area, and he's going to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback for the first time next year. He knows.
Technically, if conversations start, he is conference champion, given your logic earlier of Kyle
Kirk
Shanahan.
Cousins is already a champion. Hashtag again. Get rid of the never. He's already a champion.
Here's the number crunch that really ground my gears. Does that make sense?
Sure.
They're in pieces because the Redskins have to shell out close to $20 million to keep this guy under the franchise option, right? So at 8-7-1 last year, they weren't even second in their division. They barely edged out the Philadelphia Eagles in that division. So you're going to tell me you either know something, Mr. Cousins, that we don't know, that you're on the move to a contender, or you're so sure that the Redskins are going to be so good next year that they're definitely going to either win the NFC East or take one of two wild card spots. What do you think at Radio Griff?
In all seriousness, it is kind of weird, isn't it?
Yes.
He would say that because he plays in arguably one of the toughest divisions in football.
Sure.
I mean, you're going against the Giants and the Eagles.
Well,
and
I think you're being
most
kind.
importantly,
You're being kind.
The Cowboys.
Them boys.
So that's kind of suspect that he would say that. Then again, I mean,
are the fumes from the perfume store getting to him? Is that what's happening here?
That could be the case. It's not his fault that they were 8-7-1 or whatever. I think overall the offense was pretty solid, and they play a tough schedule, tough division, and I feel like you're taking us down the road of Kirk Cousins isn't like an elite quarterback. He doesn't deserve this type of money. He's not a franchise quarterback.
Not for
type
$20
of guy.
million. That's absurd money.
But who are franchise quarterbacks these days? I mean, who are you going to get? Like the Redskins let him walk. Say they let him walk.
Do you believe this is the question?
Who are you going to get that's better? Deshaun Watson?
According to Dabo Sweeney,
who is like the son of Jesus.
Deshaun Watson is going to be the Michael Jordan of football.
Dabo, though, man.
Why would you not want the Michael Jordan of football leading your team, the field general?
Okay, touche. If Dabo says he's Michael Jordan, I believe Dabo, and Dabo I trust.
And I still believe that Wilt's a better player than Michael, but that's a whole other discussion for another day. Dude, he scored 100 points in a game. Come on.
That's back when they used like peach baskets.
That was at James Naismith. This wasn't in Massachusetts. This is when they had flash photography. This is back in like the 60s or 50s, something like that.
I don't know.
But anyway, I mean, do you believe if you average the top 5 or 10, I'll even give you a 5-player grace period here, the top 10 quarterback salaries and average them out, do you believe that Kirk Cousins, not Kirk Cameron, Kirk Cousins is worth the average of the top 10 quarterback salaries? Do you believe he's a top 10 quarterback? That's essentially what I'm asking right now.
Sure.
Why?
Close to it.
Why? He hasn't done anything. When is Kirk
Who has
Cousins
done something?
You
look at the AFC. You look at the AFC every year. It's Peyton when he was playing, Brady, Big Ben. And Joe Flacco 1 year. Those are like for the last decade and a half. Those have been the only quarterbacks to go to a Super Bowl from the AFC. Then the NFC, who do you have? Like, there's just not great. There's Aaron Rodgers, the Eli Mannings, Matt Ryan,
Colin Kaepernick.
Okay, yeah.
According to Ron Jaworski, the greatest quarterback of all time.
I still believe that. There's still time for that to play out. But who's better?
You just said that Matt Ryan was the last in his division. So you have to add the three.
That was a little bit my inner Skip Bayless coming out there.
You're back. I don't need backpedaling here in Wens World at Radio Griff. I need confidence. I need swag.
Who are 10 better quarterbacks than Kirk Cousins? Name 10. Name 10. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Andrew Luck.
I am going to tell you 10 quarterbacks that are better.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go. Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger. Russell Wilson. Drew Brees, Cam Newton, Aaron Rodgers, Derek.
Wait. You said Cam Newton.
Yes.
No.
Yes, he just had a bad year. He's a great quarterback.
He's more into fashion than he is football. He doesn't care about football.
The man can dress. Don't hate on the guy because he knows how to wear the thread.
The guy's checked out of football. He wouldn't
choose a red jersey.
He's overrated. That's true.
All right, here we go.
He still loses.
All right, who's better than Matt Ryan? All right, I don't get the bell for that. That's okay.
If I put Kirk Cousins on this Falcons team, they're just as good.
Derek Carr. Can't argue that.
If I put... okay.
Phillip Rivers.
Cousins. I'll take Cousins.
What?
He's younger.
Are
He's
you
better.
joking? He's accomplished way more than Kirk Cousins ever will.
Yeah, he's had more children than Kirk.
He has more children than a Mormon. Andrew Luck.
Okay.
Carson Palmer.
No, get out of here. Get out of here.
Are you kidding me? Carson Palmer is way better of a
How old is he?
quarterback.
45?
Yeah, he's Methuselah's age, but it doesn't matter.
Backs 3 pieces.
Matt Stafford.
Oh, I'll give you that.
Dak Prescott.
Jury's still out.
That's over 10.
I'm not approving those, and I'm the authority. Kirk Cousins is a top 10 quarterback, and he's about to be the next quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers.
I can't even anymore right now. All right, we're going to get back to this next week.
So many hot takes.
I am literally sweating right now from the energy in here. At Radio Griff, follow this man on Twitter. He has a lot to say.
Yeah.
And, of course, we will be back before the big game because we'll get sued if we say Ooper say Olbay. We'll be back next week before the big game to talk about last-minute scandals, perhaps the inevitable transgender surgery that'll take place on the sideline in that big green tent. Also, inevitable prostitution ring that'll take place in Houston. Drug arrests, so on and so forth, wife beatings. We'll cover it all right here in When's World, and we don't skip on the facts. But the fact is, Kirk Cousins is not a top 10 quarterback.
Oh!
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
You're in Wayne's World.
So you guys remember a couple weeks back, we had our good friend, Margaret Schwenke. She's the eating psychology counselor, wellness coach extraordinaire right here in Atlanta. Well, guess what? She's back in When's World. Margaret, welcome back. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be back. It's nice. I like it.
Very cool. Well, it's so funny because you emailed me, by the way, whensworldradio@gmail.com, and you said that you got some feedback from our last segment on When's World a couple weeks back.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got an email from a guy named Dave, and he was asking me about the dad bod, which I thought would be a really great thing for us to talk about. So he basically wanted to know like how women feel about it. So I thought we'd table it for discussion. So
Sure.
I would love to start off with what your definition of the dad bod is.
Well, being a new father and married for many years,
Yeah.
The dad bod to me, there's a certain level of comfort and warmness over the potential muscle, as I'd like to say. But it's the guy who likes to drink, likes to go out to eat. He's okay with a little extra butter on his bread. Somebody who doesn't have a six-pack, but also knows that, hey, I don't want to necessarily do everything it takes to gain that six-pack, to have the perfect chest or the Channing Tatum body, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think the dad bod is.
So that's interesting to me because you're essentially getting into the mindset behind the body, right? Like if someone were to just look at a dude and be like, oh, he has a dad bod, that's just a physical representation of what you are now saying is a lifestyle.
Sure.
It's a way of life, right?
Yeah.
So the dad bod is actually a lifestyle choice.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, you connected that well.
Yeah. So we're saying then that it represents a different priority in life. That, I mean, we're kind of making some generalizations here with this now at this point because we're saying that if you have a dad bod, it's more important to you to drink beer and eat better than to go to the gym, which
is partially true.
Probably not a generalization that we can make across the board, but
it is true for me.
For the purpose of the conversation, right? So, going back to his question of how do women feel about this?
Yeah, how do? All the guys want to know, how does Margaret feel about the dad bod?
Yes. Well, I want to first make it clear that I don't represent the thoughts and feelings of women everywhere, but I'll take a shot at it for sure.
Cool.
I think that the dad bod, any kind of bod, really, is to me less important than the person behind the bod, which I recognize as confidence and health. Meaning, like, a person can have a dad bod and emit a strong masculine energy, a confidence, a comfort in his own skin that's very attractive. And in contrast to that, there could be the dude that's standing in front of me who's the most fit guy in Atlanta who is insecure, like works out from a place of like a fear-based motivation or insecurity, lack of confidence, and just not comfortable in his own skin, right? And regardless of how fit that dude is, I'm not going to be into that.
Right. So despite what the media and all the magazines sell us, it's more about what's on the inside. We've heard that since we were 6 years old, but I don't think many of us actually believe it.
Yeah. Well, and there are people that's not necessarily as true for. I mean, I think that I don't represent all of the women and how they feel about it. There are probably some women that would sit here and say, like, you better have a six-pack or I'm not even going to take a second look at you. You know? I mean, but I will say, and maybe we can talk later about the health aspect of this,
sure,
because I do think that that's important as well. But just like specifically thinking about attraction, then I think that has more to do with chemistry and confidence and this intangible feeling that someone is comfortable in their own skin.
So Dave's email was what again? Basically, he is back on the dating scene or something like that?
Yeah, I had told you that earlier, but I don't think I mentioned that just now. He's back on the dating scene and was wondering, like, he's got a dad bod and was wondering, like, do I actually have to do something about this to get the ladies?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, yours truly, I've been out of the game so long. I mean, I've been with the same person since 2005.
Yeah.
So it's been, what year is it now? 2017? 12 years. Sorry, a little mathematics there.
Yeah.
I'm a comm major. Forgive me. I can't put numbers together well. Or words. But I have a radio show. Go figure.
Yeah.
What is it like? I don't know what the quote-unquote dating scene. There's so many different things. Now there's apps for that.
Yeah. It's not real fun. To be honest, it is not a pretty place to be in the majority of my experiences. I will say that the app thing is like, I think that it affords us this ability to be super distracted. Again, that exists across the board for us at this point in our society. We're distracted around everything. Now we've just taken that into the dating scene. So these apps that allow you to like start a conversation with somebody and then like not really give it your full attention and then let it dwindle and never talk to them again. Where is the courtship? Where is the intention? Where is the interest in developing a relationship?
Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about it like that because when I was dating, I mean, cell phones were essentially just for texting and calling.
Right.
We weren't on Tinder and Snapchat. And I know Snapchat's not a dating app, but that's how people communicate now.
Yeah.
But it does, I guess, from a distance seem very non-personal.
No, and I think that there is the element of physical attraction and chemistry is so important in a relationship, right? And you don't have that yet. You don't know how you're going to vibe with this person until you meet them. I mean, there's a fine balance between spending way too much time investing way too much time with someone and then meeting them and you like don't do it for each other at all.
Yeah.
Or somebody asks you out without even knowing your name and you kind of want to give it a little bit more than that. So it's sort of a complicated thing at this point, dating.
So what are some things that you've been able to see through the lens and filter of what you do for a living, which is being an eating psychology counselor and also a wellness expert, both mentally and physically? How do you see the scene through that lens, or does you kind of turn that off when you're out and about?
That's a really good question. And I don't think I ever turn that off because it's a curiosity about people and what motivates them and their interests and where their behaviors are coming from, right? And so when I'm meeting someone, I'm always interested to know those things. And so in the dating sense, I really do believe that I'm approaching this with the motivation of wanting to be open and curious and interested, and that requires a certain level of vulnerability to put myself out there in the dating scene. Hey, this is who I am and I want to get to know you. And I think some people are going through the motions, maybe, right? Like they think they should have a relationship or maybe they even want a relationship, but people are all at varying degrees of awareness about themselves and their habits and what got them to the place that they're in today.
Wow.
So those are the things that I recognize when I'm meeting somebody for the first time. Like, first of all, is there chemistry? And second of all, how well does this person really know themselves and what they want? And for me, health is also such a big part of this. You know, I'm wanting to find someone who is prioritizing their health. So again, I don't really care if they have a six-pack, but I do care that they want to take care of themselves, and that, you know, nurturing their body and mind and spirit is all important to them. So when I come back, I know we're almost out of time, but when I come back, I would like to spend some time talking about, you know, what it means to feel good in our own skin and how you can achieve that from implementing health habits, because I think that there is a confidence that comes from taking care of yourself and doing the things that you know you need to do to feel good in your body. Whether or not that leads you to a six-pack, completely irrelevant from my perspective. For a lot of the people that I work with that are trying to change their lifestyle habits, they come to me with a certain level of lack of confidence or depression or discontent, many people do, around the state of their body and their ability to adhere to a particular way of eating and lifestyle habits or not, right? So in a lot of ways, the dissatisfaction just comes from a difference in knowing what we should be doing versus doing it. And so a lot of times when people get back on the bandwagon, if you will, and they start making some of these small incremental changes, even if it's just to get up and go for a walk, if they do that every day, like not only are they improving their body, improving their mind and their fitness level, they're also feeling confident about that, because now they're a person that gets up and walks every day. They've set a goal, they're doing it, and that contributes to a higher level of confidence. So then from that comes actual changes that you see in your mood and in your physicality. And then there's confidence that comes from that, right? And so when we're talking about these people that feel good in their skin and are confident and comfortable, typically that comes in alignment with knowing what works for them and doing it, or at least showing up and putting an effort toward doing some of these habits.
Well, there you go. And Dave, we hope your question was answered. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to Margaret, Nourish at Margaret Schwenke. And will you spell your name for these fine people?
MargaretSchwenke.com.
People have questions, they can reach out, and maybe we'll answer them on the show next time.
Yeah, that would be fun.
And if people want to follow you on Twitter, it's at NourishATL, right?
Mm-hmm. It is, Nourish ATL. And on Facebook, Margaret Schwenke, Authentic Nourishment.
Like the page.
Like the page, and MargaretSchwenke.com again. And I'm really excited to be back. Thank you very much. And I look forward to communicating with you guys and interacting with you on all those social media platforms. So again, I'm stoked to be here in Wen's World. Loving it.
Break! The marvels of modern medicine. It's helped mankind increase its longevity. We used to live to, 70, 80 years old. Now people are eclipsing 100 years old. We see it all the time on the Today Show. The Smucker's presentation, such and such is 115. But what if we could live to 1,000 years old? How would that kind of scientific breakthrough affect our day-to-day lives, the decisions we make, how we treat ourselves, our friends, our family, those around us? With me now is acclaimed scientist, attorney, and former U.S. Army intelligence officer, and acclaimed sci-fi writer, Robert Buettner. Welcome to Wen's World, Robert. How are you?
Great to be with you, Joey. I'm great, and thanks so much for having me.
Of course. Our good friend Don sent this press release, and it really captivated me because we always wonder what's going to happen when we die, right? But what were to happen if we live for 1,000 years? To be candid, I am a tad skeptical. Now, the aforementioned press release noted that it is likely that somebody here on Earth right now could actually live to 1,000. This sounds a little too sci-fi for yours truly. Help me break this notion down.
Well, here's the thing. Probably in the early 2000s, I heard the statement that the first person who lives to 1,000 may already be alive today. And at that time, when I looked into it, I found out that, really, it was the idea of living for centuries it was vampires, it was freezing Ted Williams' head, But guess what? The world's changed since then. I mean, back then, the idea of Donald Trump as president seemed pretty far-fetched.
Sure.
But, so what, basically And then and even today, at this moment, the human body as it's presently constituted pretty much wears out around 115 years. No matter how many sit-ups you do and no matter how much yogurt and kale and smoothies you drink, and those last years aren't really so great anyway. Who wants to live more years in a nursing home watching Wheel of Fortune?
Not me.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was the thing. When I looked into this again recently, the promise of what's changed in the last few years is the promise of extended lifespans in healthy bodies.
Right.
And what some of the developments to talk about are that in lab mice, they're living 2 centuries in mouse years, and without many of the symptoms of aging they normally experience. Roundworms are living 6 centuries in worm years. Now, the point of that is that the insides of mouse cells and the insides of roundworm cells have basically the same structures and work the same ways as human cells. And we can now make those changes within the cell that we weren't able to do before. The reason those lab mice got experimented on in the first place was to test a drug called rapamycin that had been developed to suppress rejection in human organ transplants. Now, I think the other thing to say about this is, like we all know that labs are like Vegas. What happens in the lab often stays in the lab.
Right.
Yeah. But in 2015, Google committed $1.5 billion to a life extension research affiliate. And if I was going to bet on somebody who could recognize the next big thing and make it actually happen, it just might be Google. And they're not alone. A lot of tech billionaires, especially out in the Bay Area, are jumping into the field too. And some people say that's for selfish reasons. Bill Gates, for example, a few years ago rejected life extension research as a legitimate philanthropy because he said it was too narcissistic. I mean, billionaires don't need to make more money. They need more time to make their money. So all of that, the fact that all of those things were happening, that was what convinced me that it was probably the right time to write a novel. I mean, the issue is still whether we can do it, but it's also now whether we should do it.
Yeah, what kind of moral implications do you see with this? Some might argue that we're going against the grand design, like age-old quote, well, it was my time to go, But as far as societal impact, what kind of implications do you see with that if people were to live to 1,000 here on Earth?
Well, the obvious thing, how does Social Security cover us even for the next 20 years?
Right.
I mean, do we push the retirement age out to 100? Do we push it out to 900? And then, what if you were able-bodied enough to work for 900 more years? Think of how much of that time you'd be stuck in traffic, especially if you live in Atlanta. Some of us already have trouble filling a rainy Saturday if the internet goes out. Then there's another issue. I mean, apart from what, as individuals, may happen to us and so on, when the technology first arrives, it's going to be wicked expensive. The 1% can live forever. The rest of us, not so much.
Sure.
Now, that's actually a bigger problem than it sounds like, even. We live with income inequality. There was a story out today that like 8 people now control more wealth than the bottom 3.5 billion people combined. Now, that story was buried on the inside pages of the print newspapers because that's something that we learned to live with.
Right.
We also live with the fact that sometimes the bad guys get away with it. And the important thing, I think, that has helped us get through that for over the years is because we know that in the end, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin are just as dead as we are.
Right.
It's a great equalizer, and if that's no longer there, especially for some people and not for others, then that's going to present a problem.
Absolutely. And again, if you're just joining us, we are with renowned scientist, attorney, and former U.S. Army intelligence officer, not to mention acclaimed author Robert Buettner. You can check out all his work at his website, robertbuettner.com. And that's, of course, Robert, BUETTNER.com. You can also follow him on Twitter at OrphanScribe. So wouldn't that create kind of a less goal-oriented, a less ambitious society for us 99 percenters?
Well, that's an interesting question. Honestly, that of all the problems that I thought about that bothered me about it, I think that was the one that bothered me the least. And the reason is that I don't think most of us would get tired of it. A wise man once said that what we should all do to have a happy life is to find the work that is play. And if you select the right career, you might be happy to do it for a long time. For example, one of the advantages to society of something like this would take Mozart. How much more and better music might Mozart have written if he'd written for 300 years instead of 30 years?
Right.
So I think the fact that we might be able to not only continue careers and accomplish what we want to with them, we can change careers. If you get to be 90 years old and you're tired of being a novelist and you want to be a brain surgeon, you can go back to medical school. So a lot of things out there are positives. On the other hand, how would you like 1,200 years of Hitler instead of 12?
Right.
The challenges that we face are probably greater than the advantages, I think.
And of course, you explore all of the challenges and good stuff, essentially, in your new novel, The Golden Gate. Tell us a little bit about this book that you wrote.
Okay, well, I'll give you kind of the movie trailer version.
Cool.
A couple of years from now, a bomb literally blows the owner of the world's most valuable tech company off the Golden Gate Bridge. And an opposites attract couple try to figure out whether he got killed because he was about to make it possible for people already alive today to live to age 1,000. Of course, finding that answer might get them killed. So, for 350 pages, all this funny and dangerous stuff happens to these interesting, attractive people, and then finally they figure it all out. All the science in the book is actually accurate, and it's about a terrorist attack like Jurassic Park is about a theme park accident. There's a lot of stuff that happens in the book, everything from Isaac Newton, Franz Kafka, the Spanish Armada, the Fugitive Slave Act. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens in there. I hope it's woven together in a way that will entertain people and teach them a little bit.
So, Robert, where can we find your book, The Golden Gate?
You can buy the book anywhere that books are sold, including Amazon, of course, and you can get it as a physical book. You can get it for Kindle and all the common electronic formats, also as an audio book. They did a nice job with the audio book. My previous 8 novels, which are the Orphanage and Orphan's Legacy books, are a series that are related the way the 8 Star Wars films are related.
Oh, very cool. What I really like about The Golden Gate is it deals with the abstract, but it also deals with the concrete that we deal with, right? So you were mentioning the real-life issues that we would have to deal with if we were to live to 1,000, like population overload. How about the meals? What about jobs? And if we were to live forever, doesn't that kind of mess up the whole point of being faithful and religious in this life and in the one to come, so to speak?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now, organized religion has basically depended on offering people consequences when they die. If you live a good life, you go to heaven. If you live a bad life, you go to hell. And when that carrot and stick are diminished in value, it's entirely possible that a lot more of us will be sleeping in on Sunday mornings. Yeah, I mean, for some people, religion will become as obsolete as a flip phone.
Sure.
So there's that, and that, of course, is all these things are worked into the book, and I think, like I said, and delivers that information in an entertaining way, which is otherwise can be it's biochemistry, some of it, and so it can get kind of deep. Doing the research for the book was pretty challenging.
Oh, I can't imagine. I got to check this out in its completion. Again, you can get it on Audible, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, or check out Robert's website, robertbuettner.com, BUETTNER.com. And, of course, connect with him on Twitter. Keep the conversation rolling and going at Orphan Scribe. Robert, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you in Wayne's World. Thank you so much for your time.
It's great to be there, Joey. Thanks very much.
My friends, that does it for this edition of When's World Radio. But if you would like your business, brand, or organization to be represented in a family-friendly environment here in When's World, feel free to shoot me an email, whensworldradio@gmail.com. And of course, When's is spelled W-E-N-Z as in zebra. Worldradio@gmail.com. You can also direct message me on Twitter @When'sWorldRadio. Talk to you guys soon. Have a great week.
Excellent!
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.